France has announced that 10 British nationals, all linked to the anti-migrant movement known as Raise the Colours, are now banned from entering French territory. The French Interior Ministry explained the decision in stark terms. In a statement, officials said, "Our rule of law is non-negotiable. Violent and hate-inciting tactics have no place in our territory." These words were posted publicly. They mark a clear line drawn by the French government against what they describe as vigilante actions carried out on their soil. The individuals have not been named, but they are said to be activists who travelled from Britain to northern France, where they engaged in activities targeting asylum seekers and the small boats used to cross the channel. The ministry referred to territorial bans issued against 10 British nationals. These bans are administrative measures, not criminal convictions, but they carry weight. They mean that these individuals cannot legally enter France, and if they try, they can be detained and removed. The background to this decision is the continuing crisis of small boat crossings. In 2025, more than 41,000 people crossed the channel to reach Britain. That is the second highest annual total since records began in 2018. Each crossing is a human story, often involving family, children, people fleeing war or persecution, but each crossing is also a political flashpoint. In Britain, the debate over migration has become sharper. Far-right groups have used the imagery of boats to stir anger. Raise the Colours is one of those groups. It has been linked to the widespread hoisting of Union Jack and England flags across towns and cities. Its members have travelled to northern France, live streaming footage of themselves confronting asylum seekers. A man filmed himself on a French beach. He said he had found a small inflatable boat buried in the sand and he cut it open. "That is not going to England," he declared. In another post, the same man waded into the sea, shouting at people boarding a dinghy. French authorities took notice. They had already opened an investigation into an alleged aggravated assault near Dunkirk in September, when 4 men carrying British flags verbally and physically attacked a group of people in Grand Fort Philip, telling them they were not welcome in England. The French government's response has been firm. By issuing bans, they are sending a message that such actions will not be tolerated. The Interior Ministry's language was deliberate. Violent and hate-inciting tactics have no place in our territory. For France, this is about protecting public order and upholding the rule of law. For Britain, it raises questions about how far-right activism is spilling across borders. Raise the Colours reacted angrily. In a statement, the group said the ban was absolutely disgraceful. A spokesperson explained, "Raise the Colours is aware of public statements made today by the French Interior Ministry referring to administrative measures relating to certain individuals identified as members of Raise the Colours. At the time of issuing this statement, no formal notification has been received by Raise the Colours regarding any administrative measures. We understand that the statements refer to administrative decisions concerning specific individuals rather than the organisation as a whole." But campaigners in Britain welcomed the French move. Georgie Laming, director of campaigns at Hope Not Hate, said the Raise the Colours team have been harassing both migrants and charity workers in northern France for months. With a recent recruitment drive intended to bring more people from the UK to France, there couldn't be a more apt time to stop this harassment campaign from escalating even further. Hope Not Hate have been monitoring and reporting on the movements of Raise the Colours throughout 2025, and we are pleased to see our work pay off. Her words highlight the tension between activism and harassment, between free speech and intimidation. For groups like Hope Not Hate, the French ban is a victory for those who have been documenting the rise of far-right tactics. The Home Office in Britain has been approached for comment, but at the time of reporting, no official statement has been issued. That silence is itself telling. Migration across the Channel has been one of the most politically charged issues in Britain, with successive governments promising to stop the boats. Yet the emergence of vigilante groups complicates the picture. When British citizens travel abroad to interfere with migrants, it raises diplomatic questions. France has acted to protect its territory. Britain must decide how to respond to its own nationals engaging in such behaviour. The story does not end with France. Across Europe, migration remains a divisive issue. In Denmark, officials are rushing troops to Greenland amid tensions with the United States. In Iran, protests have led to brutal crackdowns with reports of executions and rivers of blood. In Ukraine, energy facilities have been struck by Russian missiles, leaving households without power in freezing temperatures. Each of these stories is connected by a thread: the movement of people, the clash of governments, and the struggle for control. For Britain, the Channel crossings are the most immediate manifestation of this global turbulence. The French ban on British activists is part of a wider pattern of governments asserting control. In recent months, France has faced criticism for its handling of migrants in Calais, where camps have been dismantled and people dispersed. Yet, by banning foreign activists, France is also protecting migrants from harassment. The decision reflects a balance between security and compassion, between sovereignty and human rights. For listeners in Britain, the story may feel close to home. The Channel is a narrow stretch of water, but it has become a symbol of division. On one side, people seeking safety. On the other, activists determined to stop them. And in the middle, governments trying to manage the flow. The numbers are stark. 41,000 crossings in 2025, more than 800 people in dinghies in a single day in December. Each figure represents lives at risk, journeys undertaken in desperation. The French Interior Ministry's words resonate. Our rule of law is non-negotiable. It is a reminder that laws exist to protect, not to persecute. For Britain, the challenge is to uphold its own laws while addressing the human reality of migration. The activists banned from France may see themselves as defenders of the nation, but their actions have crossed a line. Cutting boats, shouting abuse, and assaulting people are not acts of patriotism, they are acts of intimidation. The debate will continue. Raise the Colours insists it is peaceful, disciplined, and lawful. Hope Not Hate insists it is harassing and dangerous. France insists it will not allow such tactics on its soil. Britain, for now, remains silent, but the crossings will not stop, and the politics will not fade. This is a story that will unfold in the months ahead, with consequences for migrants, activists, and governments alike. As we reflect on this, it is worth remembering the human side. Behind every statistic is a person, often fleeing war, persecution, or poverty. Behind every ban is a government trying to protect its people, and behind every activist is a belief, however misguided, about what it means to defend a country. For Britain, the question is not just about boats or bans, it is about who we are and how we respond to those who seek refuge on our shores. This is not a simple story. It is layered with politics, law, and human emotion. It is about France drawing a line, Britain facing a dilemma, migrants caught in the middle. It is about activists who see themselves as heroes and governments who see them as threats. It is about campaigners who fight for compassion and officials who fight for order. And it is about us, the people, listening, watching, and deciding what kind of society we want to be. The French ban is a chapter in this larger narrative. It tells us that borders are not just lines on a map, they are places where values are tested. It tells us that activism can cross borders, but so can law. And it tells us that in the struggle over migration, there are no easy answers, only hard choices. For Britain, the story continues. The boats will come. The debates will rage.